Hello, everybody. Welcome to lesson 4 of the Healthy Relationship Bootcamp. This is officially our last lesson in the bootcamp. And if you stayed today, wow, you're the real MVP. I'm so proud of you and I'm so grateful to have you back. Okay, today is one of the most, I feel like this is the tea that a lot of people thought they were coming for. You guys are not prepared for lesson 1 to 3, trust me. But a lot of people, they came for lesson 4, the art of emotional connection, or I titled it here Emotional Connection, Nurturing and Retaining the Spark in Your Relationships. And I think this is what a lot of people want to really learn when it comes to relationship. But it was very important that we did everything we did from lesson 1 to 3 so that you are ready for the tea. Okay, so let's get right into it. Okay, I'm blessed out by this time. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Emotional connection. Can we talk a bit about that? What do you think that means? Emotional connection. Have you ever felt like you're in a relationship and you're like, something is missing? Like you don't feel close to this person. Usually this happens when relationships have been, have stayed off for a while and there's no constant, genuine intimacy and conversations and communications. People don't talk to themselves anymore, right? This is where this feeling can come up. But whether that is you or whether you're just in a new relationship and you want to ensure that you do things right, emotional connection is one of the most powerful ways to sustain intimacy in any relationships. If you take this to your friendships, guys, you would be surprised the kind of strong bonds you build in your friendships. Trust me. Okay, and I'm just trying to tell you that this is not meant for just people in romantic relationships. You need to pay attention to this in whatever kind of relationship that you are here for. You must learn to connect with people on the emotional level. And do you know why? Because our emotions are the most personal parts of who we are. I read this in a book. I think this was a book by Robert MCG, A Search for Significance, if I'm not mistaken. Your emotions are the most personal and the most private part of who you are. And a lot of us, we are not living from our emotions. And what I mean, I don't mean that. So let me clear the air. I don't mean that you should be always allowing your emotions to influence your decisions and all that. No. I mean that a lot of people are not in touch with their emotions. And here is why. We were not, a lot of us, especially in this part of the world, Africa, we were not trained to acknowledge, your emotions. And so we have believed that emotions are just one of those things that sometimes people think you should be ashamed of them. Some other people believe that that's not, you should not acknowledge it, right? You should be more mature, you should be logical. People believe that, right? But when you live your life and your emotions are not being acknowledged and you ignore them, it's only a matter of time. You start to, like we said, you would live an inauthentic life because a lot of things are happening in your soul, and your emotions is one of the parameters for knowing what is going on in your soul, how you feel. It's just like saying, I feel tired, or you know that okay, you are tired, like your physical body is tired and you need rest. Do you understand? You need rest. Just imagine you could not feel tired, like your physical body cannot feel when you are stressed out. You would work until you die. It's the same thing with your emotions. When you stop repress your emotions, you don't know when your soul needs nourishment. You don't know when you need, certain things that would help you become enriched in your soul. And you would keep going on autopilot like that. And it's only a matter of time before problems happen. And for some people, it's when they get into relationships that they begin to see these issues. It's when they get into, because they cannot connect. When you are not in touch with yourself, how can you connect with other people? And we have boring, not just boring, frustrating romantic relationships. It works for friendships. I mean, friendships, people can, we just connect over what we like, right? Connect over shared interests. We go to the church together, do stuff together with cheese. It can work for friendships, although it's not ideal, but it works for friendships. But romantic relationships, there will be issues when you cannot connect with yourself. So ask yourself in this moment. This is exercise 1. How are you feeling in this moment? Just take a deep breath and ask yourself, really, how am I feeling? I do that sometimes and I find out unlikely things. Because in those moments when you are desperately trying to scroll on social media to get something to distract you, you're feeling something and you want to douse it. That's why. Or you want to just, eat something sweet. I'm saying things that I used to do. I had to now pay attention and start saying, no, you will not do this. Eat something sweet, right? Or for some other people, maybe take alcohol, go to the club because they're feeling a certain way. They're feeling empty, right? And so you need to start paying attention to your emotions. This is the first step to an amazing relationship. Pay attention to your emotions. Don't feel ashamed for feeling a certain way. Don't say, oh, I'm just being silly. Why would I be angry, or why would I be feeling sad about that thing? If you feel a certain way, it is valid. We're not saying that you should act on that feeling, but the fact that you feel a certain way is valid. You must learn to acknowledge your feelings and, you know, not just acknowledge them. Appreciate the fact that you can feel. Do you know that the people who cannot feel are numb? And just like saying in your physical body you can't feel pain. How bad would that be? Some people here on this call will say that's going to be a good thing. But I bet you, as a doctor in training, you not being able to feel pain in your physical body is a danger sign. That you will go into trouble and you will not know. And such a person will die quickly. Trust me. Because the person will bleed out and not even know. And not go to the hospital. Do you see? So it's the same thing with your emotional health. Appreciate the fact that you can feel. I remember when I started feeling. I'm not joking though. It happened to me that for a long time I was numb. I was numb. Like for a greater part of my life. I was above 20 when I started feeling. And it felt good to feel. It felt so good to be able to feel. To see someone and feel like, oh, I love this person. It felt good. I'm not joking. And I felt like it's like I've been sleeping all my life. I just woke up. That's how I felt. I'll be going somewhere and I'll see something, a child, a family, little gestures. They were getting to me. And I'll just be like, oh, that's so cute. And I was like, what's going on here? But it felt good. And I remember that I was so excited that I wanted to share this with the world. I was so excited. I wanted to scream and say, I can feel. Because all my life I had been numb. I was the hard girl. When they say hard girl, I was their chairman. The chairman of the Association of Hard People. See how you have met her today. Do you understand? But that did not serve me in the long run. And I had to learn that that's not what I've been called to be. To be numb, you will live a very miserable life that way. Okay, so you need to pay attention to how you feel. That's the first and the most important thing if you are going to build connections, healthy connections in your relationships. This is because knowing how you feel would not just help you be a person that can communicate your needs, but you can also have empathy for the feelings of other people, which is important in your relationship, right? You need to have empathy for, and sometimes it's not so much as what happened. That's the truth of the matter. It's not so much as what happened. Like what happened may not really make sense to you, but for the fact that this person felt a certain way, or let's say somebody said, "Oh, what you said hurt me," and from every indication to you, there's nothing hurtful about that. What you are supposed to do in that moment is not to say, "What did I say?" And I not say anything that was no. You have to take responsibility not just for what you said, but for the fact that most likely your should I say presentation came across in a way that hurt someone, and you would apologize. Not just because your intentions might have been pure and all, but the person felt the person felt a certain way. You have to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I did not mean it in that way. I'm sorry because what I said made you feel. Do you understand? Because if you were the one, you would also want someone to do that same thing to you, to acknowledge your feelings. So if you've not learned to acknowledge your own feelings, you cannot show empathy for the feelings of other people. And this is important. Empathy in any relationship. right? Empathy, putting yourself in someone's shoes and saying, I would have loved, I would love it if someone did this to me, or I would not like it if someone did this to me. And so it helps you, you know, act in a way that people feel safe and loved around you. People feel like you see them. And sometimes it's the little things. We think that it's being in a relationship is it's the little things. It's not so much of the grand gestures. It's the little things. Allowing someone to feel safe, being a no judgment zone, a safe space. It's really the little things. Okay? So today, the most powerful thing we're going to be talking about is identifying your relational needs and communicating your needs in a context of conflict. I use conflict as a case study because conflict serves as one of the most powerful tools for emotional connection. Because when conflict happens, for sometimes when we start relationships, we are all, giggly and happy. We are happy and we feel like nothing can go wrong in the world, right? But 2 weeks or a month down the line, we start having conflict because we are different human beings, like I said. Maybe I think this was in the last lesson, with different backgrounds, bringing our own traumatic experiences to the table. And we would have to learn that we may have, differences. And it is just simply wisdom to learn how to manage our differences in the way that brings us closer to each other. We can now empathize more with each other. We can now see our needs and love each other in those places where it matters the most. That's what fosters emotional connection, and that's what fosters intimacy. Okay, so when conflict happens, you have to learn that, and this is very important for people who are conflict averse, people who grew up in very turbulent households or turbulent environments where you hate conflict. You will need to learn that conflict should not be seen as something bad in itself. It now becomes an issue when people don't know how to manage it, right? And one of the most the mindsets that will help you enter into every conflict with an understanding that this can be helpful for my relationship is that conflict is not bad in itself. Disagreeing is not bad in itself. We are two different people. We cannot have the same perspective or the same view of life in every area. Do you see? So it's important that you understand that conflict is just an opportunity to get closer to one another, to know what matters to this person, what matters to this person. Because let's face it, we may not remember to talk about everything, but when things happen, we now find out a new layer about this person. We're like, that's true. When this thing happens, this is how this person likes to be treated, or this is the kind of way that makes her feel a certain way. And love is majorly about service and treating people right? It demands that you are putting that person, even before your own needs in that context, right? Not in a toxic way or something, but really choosing choosing to serve that person in that way. And when you're in a healthy relationship, you don't have to fear that, oh, you're going to be the one that will be loving somebody, the person will not love you back, right? Because it's a valid fear. I even have that sometimes too. But you have to learn that that's the ethic of love, right? That's how love works. Love is not exactly a safe thing. If you want to be safe, you would be numb. Love requires vulnerability, putting yourself out there, and really opening up yourself for the possibility of being hurt, right? But in the same way, it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful experiences ever. Okay, so let's go now to conflict and understanding your relational needs in the context of conflict. When something happens in any relationship, and you feel bad, or one or two people feel angry. I can't remember the first time this happened to me, when I started paying attention to myself. I just noticed that I was feeling a certain way around a friend of mine. It was in the context of friendship. But it taught me a powerful lesson that conflicts are very, very, pivotal. I just started feeling a certain way around this person. I felt I was withholding more than I used to. But more than that, I felt ignored, right? I felt like the person did not really care about me. Which was interesting because if we are to be logical, it's not true. But I was feeling that way, and so my feelings were valid. And what that feeling did for me was now make me hold back. So, I started feeling like I cannot bring myself to this relationship, right? I cannot bring myself to this friendship. Maybe I'm becoming a bother. Maybe I should just, leave it out. And it did not take long before I started considering this person is no longer really a part of my life. All in my head. It was all in my head. This person had no idea what was going on. No idea. And until I started asking myself questions, because I'm a person that would always, I'm like a runner in my relationship. Like, if something happens, I want to, what's the fastest way out of this relationship? I had to see that, bro, that's not how things work. We can always work through things, right? And so I started learning that, why? Finding out this, asking questions, probing my inner self. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like, oh, and I started seeing that I had a need, for this was long later after we moved of that conflict, because it showed up in a few other ways, that I had this need for connection, right? But still I had a fear of rejection and abandonment. So if I'm to talk about my relational need in that light, it will be a need to feel reassured that I am accepted, that I will not be abandoned. Do you see? And I did not know. And not only did I not know, I never accepted that as something that I had to deal with, because I would rather be on my own. But yeah, there was an underlying deeper need for connection, which everybody has, by the way, but I was dousing it with that fear of abandonment. So I would withhold myself. And any slightest vibe I picked up that maybe this person is too busy for me, I move. I don't even bother myself to talk things out and all that stuff. But learning these things in the context of my friendships for me was very enlightening, because I was not able to see that, oh, this is what I need. This is a need for me. Do you see? And when I have a need, a relational need should be communicated. Of course, when you have the fear of abandonment and rejection, it's more of a personal work to do, right? But if you are in a relationship, it will have to go side by side with communicating to whoever you are in this relationship with, that this is something that is a need, and a need should be met, right? Of course, you will do your inner work so that you are not overly putting a burden on someone else that is yours. But it will be like when you do your work and this person meets you in the middle. I'm talking about this in context of a romantic relationship. This person meets you in the middle. And so you guys can now build a solid bond that heals, that wound. Do you know that it's love that heals wounds? Love, relationships. They are the things that heals the wounds that you've had, especially when you have, trauma wounds, all that stuff. Healing is a journey, but love has a role to play. Let's put it that way. And personally, I believe that love of God is what actually starts anybody on the journey of healing. It's not really about people, but also I have learned that God uses people to make His love come alive to you in human form. Okay, so it's powerful, but your needs should be communicated. When you feel like you need to even sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want? If you don't know what you want, you would be all over the place, arguing, quarreling, having conflicts, meaningless conflicts. When you go into a conflict, you need to ask yourself at the end of that conflict, what did I take away from this thing that happened? What new thing did I learn about this person that I'm in a relationship with? What did this person learn about me? So instead of coming into that place of with that mindset of this, you did that, you're always doing this, you're always doing that, and angry words, curse words, and all that is being flying around, which is not even a toxic thing, and you know, you need to, how much more you need to be thinking, how can I express myself more to this person? How can this person see where this hurts? So it's going to conflict with the mindset of vulnerability. But red flag, if you're in a relationship with someone that is toxic, don't do this. Don't. Find an exit. Find an exit route instead. This is not for people in toxic relationship. Please don't say I taught you this. You're in a toxic relationship where you know that your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities will be used against you. Please find the quickest route Or let's just say you need to see someone first of all. So I cannot say for all relationships, because relationships have different dynamics and all that. You need to see a counselor, a relationship coach, or whatever you need to see. But the vulnerability in the context of a toxic relationship, that will not be safe. But do you understand? And also, like I've talked about, when you got into a relationship with a person that you know is a kind person, has a good heart, it's not a wicked person. You don't allow conflict to make person turn to a demon or a devil in your eyes. Okay, so you need to go into each conflict with the mindset of, how can we become closer, how can I communicate my needs? And a way that this works is, don't focus on what this person did, focus on how it made you feel. So instead of saying you forgot, or you are always not doing this, you say, when you do that, it makes me feel like I don't matter. It makes me feel like I'm second option to you. It makes me feel like this whole thing, this relationship, does not mean anything to you. That's how you feel. That's really how you feel. Okay? And the person, especially if this is a good person, the person now begins to see things from your perspective, from your POV, right? And the person now has, instead of you making the person be defensive, the person now actually begins to think about the fact that the his or her actions had such an effect on you. And that's the quickest way to reconciliation and, apology, and life goes on. Everybody's fine. Right? I hope this is helpful. That's what I do. And it works every time. It works every time. Right? It works every time, because people, if you are not in a relationship with a wicked person, you're not your friends are not bad people. Why would they just be deliberately to you bad? Right? If you're a good person, you attracted good people. It's just conflict. It happens. And so you need to stop and breathe. When there's a conflict happening, stop and breathe and ask yourself, what is going on here? If you're in the moment where you're angry and all, don't send that angry text message. Don't call on phone and start yelling, or even don't engage. People even A healthy relationship is one where there's mutual understanding, and you're like, I need time to process this. I don't think I can handle this in this moment. Give me time. And you go back and you process objectively, and you separate what happened from how it made you feel, and you communicate how the action made you feel. Do you understand? And when you do that, the person can see things from your perspective, from your point of view, and you hear things like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to hurt you. I did not mean it in that way. This is what I meant instead. This is why this thing happened like that." And you can now also see things from the person's point of view, and now revert, and everybody will be fine. Okay, so emotional connection is about vulnerability. If I've not used the word, let me use it now. Emotional connection is about vulnerability. If you're going to connect with anybody emotionally, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, to have conversations where you share your heart, where you can be you. You don't have to hold back, pretend, you know. You have to learn the art of vulnerability. Another thing that you also need to pay attention to is to identifying what this other person needs. Your relationship is not about you. If you're going to be an emotional connection, you want to identify the needs of the people or the person you are in this relationship with. It's something I usually do in my friendships. I find out, I think about, how can I make this person, how can I blow this person's mind today? I do, because it just feels good to be good and to make people feel loved and make people smile. I just think, how can I blow your mind today? What can I do to make you feel extra loved? And I started learning that sometimes, because I used to do it a lot from my top of my head, I just do things randomly, do things that makes people feel loved. But I started thinking, sometimes you need to find out, what does this person need? How does this person want to be loved? Love them like that. Do you understand? That's how you build connection. Because people now know that they matter to you. People now see that you see them. And so if you are in a relationship that everything is going, it feels like it's still, it's sour, pay attention to these things. A few other things can also be, the issue. But trust me, any relationship that have two intentional people building their emotional connection, working to be emotionally connected, being vulnerable with each other, communicating their needs, striving to make the other person feel loved the way they want to be loved, that would be a sweet relationship. It's going to be sweet, because that is how you feel connected on the level of your emotions. If there is no other place you should be connected on the level of your emotions, it should start with your romantic relationship. Even though I believe friendships should have this, intimate friendships should have this too, right? Intimate friendships should have this too. So it's very important that you learn to look inwards. It's not always about the other person. Look inwards. Ask yourself, what is going on my inside? Okay? ask yourself, why do I feel the way I feel? Right? I'm repeating that because it's very, very pivotal. Ask yourself, don't stop to always blame, blame, blame. You did this, you did that. No, 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 no. It's not always about the other person. Ask yourself. So you identify, if we are talking about this in the context of conflict, when the conflict happens, after you find out, okay, you found out that, oh, this is how I feel, you now look, identify, this conflict, was there any personal boundaries broken? Right? What boundaries, which of my boundaries were broken? Whether you have communicated these boundaries in the past or not, it's fine. So the when you find out that you feel like somebody eroded your self dignity or your sense of self respect, disrespected you, behaved in a way that you don't like, right? Pay attention to it. Even if you've not communicated it before, this is an opportunity to now communicate the boundary. We talked about boundaries in the last session. Okay, personal boundaries that have been eroded, find out or broken. Your needs that went unmet, find out, note them. Wounds that were triggered, note them. Okay, because you can be triggered by somebody's action. It's not like the person, what the action in that moment was, the issue, but it triggered a childhood wound, and you now react from your coping mechanism of that childhood wounds. You need to find out all these things because it helps you now see where the issues are. So definitely, if there are personal boundaries broken, you communicate boundaries. If needs are met, you communicate needs. If wounds are there, you now see that that's a personal work, right? If it's, you need therapy, right? Or you need to talk about it. If you have a very safe partner, although people say your partner is not your therapist, whatever works for you, really, okay? It can be a personal work. You working on it. You identifying the thought patterns. This person made me say something that made me feel in a certain way because this is how my parents or this is how this other person, you know, acted towards me 10, 25 years ago. And you now have to remind yourself that you are no longer that lady or that baby, that girl, that teenager that was, that happened to. You are different now, and you have the tools to deal with these issues. You don't have to react from a place of survival. Okay, decide, is it, when you have done this, when you've identified what happened, boundaries broken, needs unmet, won't resurface, now decide, is this something that I can fix? Is this conflict my thing to fix, or is it this other person's thing to fix? Like, is this something that I should hold the other person responsible for, or is something that I should handle? When you're talking about wounds and you are being triggered by things, most times it's yours to fix. It's not the other person's problem to fix. This does not mean that you cannot tell the person what's going on if the person is a safe space, but you know that it's primarily your work. But if it is boundaries being, broken, you need to communicate your boundaries. Okay? If it needs some met, you need to communicate your needs. Then you communicate. I said this. And when you're communicating, pay attention to timing, appropriate timing. So you don't just bring things up anyhow, right? Pay attention. Read the room. Read the room. Don't communicate in an atmosphere of where everywhere is tense. The atmosphere is tense. No, don't do that. Okay? Calm down, cool off, objectively analyze what's going on. Then you can communicate. Respect is very important. Everybody deserves to be respected. You don't want to be in a relationship where you are not respected, and it would be very wrong of you to treat another person with disrespect because there's a conflict going on. So respect is one of the things that helps people feel like they have a personal they are being treated, with dignity. Do you understand? Their sense of I don't, there's this word, like, I don't know if it's autonomy, right? Like their sense of being a person of dignity should not be eroded by disrespecting them. Whether it's a guy or a woman, I don't know. I know everybody deserves to be respected. So respect your person, not the person you love that you are now treating with disrespect because there's a conflict. It's very, very unfair. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, I've said everything, and get feedback. When you're done with that, get feedback. Do you understand what I mean? What do you think about this? Do you understand? Get feedback because it will help you understand that people are hearing what you are saying and not what they think that you're saying. And lastly, forgive, because there'll be issues, right? You have to learn to forgive and forgive and forgive. People would do things you don't like. Forgive. Make space for people. Give space for them to grow, right? Forgive. It's not easy, but forgive. Anywho, then lastly, look out for evidence of changed behavior. This is one of the most powerful things, especially when you want to know if the person you are with is a safe person or a person that you can trust with your life. Look out for changed behavior. When somebody says, "Oh, I'm very sorry I did that. I will work on it, whatever, whatever." Look out for changed behavior. Don't believe blindly. If someone says they will change, hold them responsible for keeping their word. Whether it's the guy, whether it's the girl, whether it's even in friendships, hold them responsible. If someone says they will change and they don't change, it means that you cannot trust them to mean what they say. Okay, yeah. So that's it today about emotional connection. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't worry, like we said, we are going to the community, sharing our thoughts, our fire moments, and yes, I look forward to seeing you in the Q&A session. Hopefully, wherever we hold that, hearing your questions and just getting to connect with you guys. Thank you so much for being in the Healthy Relationship Bootcamp 1.0. I'll see you soon. Bye.